The most exciting and visceral of all movie genres might just be the mystery. You can't just casually watch a mystery film. To get the most out of it, you have to be fully dialed in, tracking all the clues right alongside the protagonist. But if you've already played Armchair Detective for all the well-known mysteries, you might be wondering what to watch next. Here are some hidden gems even the biggest mystery buff may have missed. You're probably familiar with the work of Macon Blair and Jeremy Saulnier, even if those names don't ring a bell. The two worked on the claustrophobic thrillers Green Room and Blue Ruin, both of which were written and directed by Saulnier and featured memorable performances by Blair. And in 2019, Blair penned the script for Saulnier's Hold the Dark, a moody mystery/thriller about a wolf researcher who gets more than he bargained for. Jeffrey Wright stars as a scientist who heads to a remote Alaskan town to help the locals hunt the wolves believed to be responsible for the deaths of 3 local children. But those wolves aren't what they seem, and neither are the townsfolk. Every time you think you have a handle on what's happening, the film twists the knife again and moves in an entirely new direction. If you enjoyed Saulnier's other films, then Hold the Dark will be right up your alley. Almost everyone can agree that there are 2 things that will likely end in something very bad happening to a person: the works of Stephen King and Hordes of Rats. In 1922, you get both. In the film, Thomas Jane portrays a Nebraska farmer named Wilf. His wife Arlette has inherited some land, and she wants to sell it and move to the big city of Omaha. There's just one problem: Wilf doesn't like that plan. He's so against it, in fact, that he convinces their son Henry to help kill Arlette.
Well, one thing I can do. That we can do.
They do the deed, but the story is only beginning. Henry runs away with his girlfriend, while Wilf stays behind in the creepy old farmhouse and slowly becomes unglued. Then, the rats show up. Why are they infesting his house? Are the horrifying images he's seeing hallucinations, or is he actually being haunted? Like all good mysteries, the questions keep building up. Mystery films are all about paying close attention to pick up on every clue, and that goes double for a film told in reverse. The device instantly makes a mystery even more, well, mysterious, since viewers have to hold key events in their head before finding out what led up to them. Filmmaker Oren Uziel frames Shimmer Lake in that manner. The film opens with Andy waking up in his basement, dropping the audience right in the middle of his confusion. As the story unfolds, however, you realize the events are playing out in reverse. The ending comes at the movie's start, only for the film to wind up back at the story's beginning a few days earlier. Along the way, Andy's story intertwines with that of his brother Zeke, who happens to be the local sheriff investigating a series of crimes that may or may not be connected to Andy. Despite its serious themes, Shimmer Lake relies on a cast known primarily for comedy, including Rainn Wilson, Ron Livingston, and Rob Corddry. Somehow, the casting worked perfectly, giving Shimmer Lake just enough humor to get you through all the mounting paranoia.
You done?
Yes, he is, but that was a lot of stuff.
Over the last few years, Rami Malek has emerged as one of the best and most versatile actors of his generation. He's won an Emmy for his role as a troubled hacker on Mr. Robot, an Oscar for embodying Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, and he also found time to star in a compelling, quiet indie mystery called Buster's Malhart. Malek portrays a man named Buster who lives in a shack on a mountain. He gets what he needs by stealing from vacation homes, and he passes the time discussing conspiracy theories on a talk radio program. Except that's only part of his story. Viewers quickly come to realize that Buster hasn't always lived this way. He was once a hotel concierge and a doting dad, until events tore his life apart and sent him literally running for the hills, forever plagued by his secrets. Presented through multiple connected narratives, Buster's Malhart is a surreal mystery that will keep you guessing until the end. The name Agatha Christie is pretty much synonymous with the modern mystery novel. She wrote 2 long series of novels, one featuring ace elderly amateur detective Miss Marple, and another about master investigator Hercule Poirot, the central figure of classics like Murder on the Orient Express. But you might not know that a major mystery factored into Christie's actual real life. In 1926, she disappeared for 11 days. The 2018 made-for-British TV movie Agatha and the Truth of Murder speculates on just what the novelist did during her absence from society. According to the film, she went full Marple and investigated a murder. In this case, it's the real-life slaying of Florence Nightingale Shore, goddaughter of famous nurse Florence Nightingale. In a fun twist on the mystery genre, Agatha and the Truth of Murder offers up an alternate history in which the storytellers become part of the story. Life is pretty great for wealthy married couple Simon and Robin. Simon has a cushy job, and they just bought a gorgeous new house in LA. Sure, their marriage is strained to the breaking point because of some fertility issues, but otherwise they're doing peachy. Well, at least until they run into an old high school friend of Simon's named Gordo. It's an innocent encounter, but the plot thickens when Gordo begins showing up at their house unexpectedly, forcing Simon to confront him and basically tell him to shove off. Soon after, Gordo's inner creep emerges via a series of sinister and disturbing acts. Of course, if that was the whole story, there wouldn't be much to watch, but this film is a gift that keeps on giving. Written and directed by Joel Edgerton, who also stars as Gordo, The Gift is the kind of cat and mouse mystery where you're never sure who the cat and mouse are at any given moment. Is Gordo a crazed lunatic? Is Simon holding on to more secrets than he's letting on? You won't hear any of the details from us, because the twists here are way too juicy to spoil. For 12 years on Murder, She Wrote, retired teacher turned mystery writer Jessica Fletcher solved hundreds of surprisingly grisly murders in and around her picturesque hometown of Cabot Cove, Maine. Well, what if somebody rebooted Murder, She Wrote, only to make it about a teenager instead of an older person? That's kind of the premise for Annabelle Hooper and the Ghosts of Nantucket. In this breezy whodunit, teenage mystery writer Annabelle Hooper and her friends take a vacation on Massachusetts' lovely Nantucket Island. There, they stumble upon an ages-old local ghost story they simply can't help but take a crack at solving. Annabelle Hooper and the Ghosts of Nantucket is a fun, lighthearted detective story perfect for those nights when you just aren't in the mood for a serial killer-level mystery. Goldstone is a stylish, slow-burn detective drama that takes a familiar set of tropes and places them in a whole new setting. Instead of a grizzled detective who works out of a dingy office with a saxophone always playing in the background, this noir takes place in the present day in the Australian outback. The grizzled detective part is right on the money, though.
That's for you.
After uncovering corruption in his hometown, Detective Jay Swan heads to the tiny town of Goldstone to locate a tourist who mysteriously disappeared. In true detective fashion, Swan sticks his nose where it doesn't belong and arouses aggressive retaliation from the corrupt local government. There's a lot of sun-parched Western flair and good old-fashioned noir driving Goldstone, all of it anchored by Aaron Peterson as the soulful, booze-swilling Swan. Thanks to the success of The Silence of the Lambs, the 90s were rife with dark, disturbing, and elegantly made mysteries about detectives trying to hunt down truly twisted murderers. Think Seven, Kiss the Girls, and Copycat, and you get the basic idea. In the spirit of such unsettling cat and mouse mysteries is the 2019 film Beneath the Leaves. Detectives Brian Larson and Erica Shotwell are tasked with capturing a thoroughly crazed bad guy named James Whitley, who kills his victims and then steals their fingernails. He's played to the absolute hilt of creepiness by Doug Jones, who's perhaps best known for playing the creatures in The Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth. The race is on for the cops to somehow find and stop this terrifying madman before he can claim another innocent victim. Let's face it, some of the best films out there, mystery or otherwise, come packaged with subtitles. In that vein, you can't go wrong with Miguel Ángel Vivas' Spanish-language mystery thriller Tu Hijo, or Your Son. It's the story of a young man named Marcos who is nearly beaten to death outside of a nightclub. That sends his father, a surgeon named Jaime, on a quest for vengeance against the people who put his son in the hospital. In the role of Jaime, Spanish star Jose Coronado steals the show, delivering a truly multi-layered character who walks a fine line between vigilantism and straight-up darkness. He's doing bad things for good reasons until those reasons aren't so good. Your Son isn't the easiest watch, but it's never short of thrilling. Directed by Liz Garbus, Lost Girls is based on the shockingly true story that unraveled in the aftermath of the disappearance of a Long Island woman named Shannon Gilbert. Searching for her, police discovered the remains of multiple women believed to be the victims of a serial killer. The emotional center of Lost Girls is Shannon's mother, Mary, who decides to investigate the mystery herself after the police prove less than eager to fully dive into the case. The film straddles the line between true crime and fiction, using the public story as a backdrop for an intimate character study. The focus of Lost Girls isn't on hunting down a serial killer, but rather a mother's war with a criminal justice system that doesn't seem to think her missing daughter is worth the manpower.
And it's our job as mothers and sisters to make sure these girls are not forgotten.
It's a gut-wrenching film, and even though the ending of this mystery is already in the public record, its twists and turns will still keep you glued to the screen until the credits roll. Thanks for watching. Click the links in our video to watch more from Netflix Film Club. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest exclusive videos. Plus, hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.